Did you know that 1 in 3 and 1 in 5 deaf and hard of hearing kids are bullied? A study in the UK showed that this bullying might be occurring because deaf children are seen as weaker due to their hearing loss. Yeah, tell that one to Matt Hamill. In case you don't get the joke, he's an MMA fighter. Before we continue, I want to say that all the links with the information that I'm giving you will be listed in the info box below. I'm not going to talk about everything in this video, so if you want to read more about it, then everything is right at your fingertips, right below. Also, yes, bullying is a problem for all kinds of kids in all schools. However, it's Deaf Awareness Month, so work with me here. So in the UK, in 2010, deaf students had the highest rate of victimization. 12 deaf and hard of hearing students, 6 hearing students, 4 mainstream teachers, 2 mainstream managers, and 3 other staff members were interviewed. The researchers found that the deaf and hard of hearing students were stigmatized and were at higher risk for being seen as a lower class, being socially excluded, bullied, and marginalized. 20 deaf and hard of hearing students between the ages of 16 and 25 were interviewed. After the interview, it was found that there was a pattern of these students being bullied. In fact, in Dundee in the UK, one boy was actually pulled out of his school by his parents because he was constantly being bullied. Even the teachers gave him no support whatsoever. Teachers, are you sure you picked the right profession? He's not the only one. There was a girl who was called stupid and dumb. She was beat up in the bathroom for saying, "What? I can't hear you," because the students that beat her up thought that she was just being a smart aleck, that she was being sarcastic. She got suspended and written up for things that she never did, but she got blamed for. Standing up for herself got her in trouble. Even her principal abused her and also held her back a year for no reason whatsoever. On her last day of school, she ended up having a concussion and she was stabbed in the back 4 times by those little thumbtack things. 5-year-old Santiago Lozada from London, England, was bullied for his hearing aids. However, his mother did take the time to take this awful incident and turn it into a more positive opportunity by taking his ordinary hearing aids and then turning them into Ninja Turtles and Iron Man and basically anything that was his favorite cartoon. I mean, yeah, ordinary hearing aids aren't that pretty, but these are pretty awesome. And they actually started becoming really popular in his school, and his mother started selling handmade designs. 18-year-old Tavis Green from Tennessee was bullied on his school bus. At one point, he was even punched in the face, which then caused his mother to confront the bullies, which then ended with her assaulting them and then being put into jail and then charged for assault. There are more of these kinds of stories posted all over the internet. One of the websites that's linked below actually has multiple stories from different bullying victims, so if you want to read some more stories, just go down there. On Tumblr, on blogs, on Facebook, I've seen other deaf and hard of hearing people, whether they're teenagers or even adults now, they've posted their own stories about being bullied in school. I've read posts about their teachers picking on them, about parents, their own and other people's parents picking on them. A few months ago, I actually posted my own video, which was a story time video, and it was about my US history teacher making fun of me because I had an incomplete assignment that did not have all the facts down from a film that we were watching, because I was deaf then, deaf now, and there was no closed captioning on the film, so he made fun of me to the entire class. I've occasionally been picked on by other students. Occasionally I've gotten the giggles and the points. It's also happened in grocery stores and stuff, but I actually faced more isolation, which is a form sort of bullying, but instead of being confronted by people and like being physically picked on and what have you, it was just more like I wasn't really involved with a lot of things. It was very difficult to get involved because I couldn't follow everything that was happening. I mean, really, if you're in a group project, who wants the kid that can't even keep up with you? In the movie No Ordinary Hero, the Super Deafy movies, Jacob was a deaf child in a mainstream school, the only deaf kid in his class who was often picked on. Sammy is known for taking Jacob's hearing aids off his ears and for making fun of him whenever he doesn't hear or understand something. Yes, that is a fictional movie, but it still happens in real life. There's also deaf on deaf bullying. When mainstream deaf children walk into deaf culture for the first time, there are times when these kids will be called hearing head because they're not deaf enough. This is the sign for hearing, and they do hearing head because they've been raised mainstream. You get it? If they don't know sign language well enough, or if they didn't grow up in a deaf family, hearing head. But then you also have those deaf children or deaf adults, deaf teenagers that have been mainstreamed, and they will sometimes pick on those who are culturally deaf because they will see those who are culturally deaf as less than because they don't speak, or they don't act like hearing people, which is seen as the norm or whatever. Notice the quotation marks in the air. So bullying does indeed come from all sides or the points of the triangle. Bullying is not a nice thing to do. It's not a nice thing to have to go through. There have been so many kids that have hurt themselves, sometimes to death, literally, because of the amount of bullying that they had to go through. Learning the best kind of behavior starts young, so it's really important that we teach these kids the right way to treat somebody, the right way to speak to somebody. If you happen to just not get along with somebody, that's fine. We can't be friends with everyone, but you can still treat that person with respect. You don't have to be best friends with them, but if they trip and fall, you can still walk over and help them up if they need a hand. So to any kids that may be going through something, please tell an adult. Tell your teacher, a parent, somebody. It isn't a bad thing to stand up for yourself, but if you feel like it might be putting you more at risk for more trouble, please just tell an adult about it. That's what they're supposed to be there for. Recently, I've been emailing a lot of middle and high schools here so I can help bring some deaf awareness for their current and their future deaf and hard of hearing students. So if you're a teacher who is watching this, feel free to show this in your classroom. If you're a student, a guidance counselor, a principal, whoever, just feel free to share it. Bullying is serious business, and we need to work together to keep it from happening before the next kid gets hurt. If you want to follow me on all of my social media, links to that will be down below. If you want to support me on Patreon monthly or get merch, the links to that will also be down below. I upload every Monday and Tuesday unless otherwise stated, and I will see you later. Bye.